Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav. I'm an energy healer and I always get it wrong. I always say accountability, but I want to say alignment. I am an alignment coach. Accountability is just part of it, but not the main thing. Anyhow, yes, I work mainly with people suffering from chronic pain or chronic illness or unexplained medical conditions to heal or reduce their symptoms. This podcast is all about healing yourself naturally. So I'm inviting people to come and talk to us about how they either heal themselves naturally or how they help other people heal. And so let's get started. Today with me is the wonderful Beth Hill Poulin. Beth, hello. So lovely to have you here.
Hi, it's so lovely to be across the pond.
Indeed, indeed. So tell us something about you. Let's get to know you a little bit.
All right. Well, I live in Canada. I live on the north shore of Lake Erie in southern Ontario, and I am a brand new grandmother. So
Yay.
she's 2 weeks. She was 2 weeks old on Sunday, and my life has changed immensely. If the medicine that comes out of holding a newborn baby is just incredible. So somehow you have to, without stealing a baby, get your hands on and listen to the coos and the oohs and the ahs that come out of a baby that's just approaching 2 weeks old. She was just amazing. Which ties me to how I got started with what I am doing, which was my grandmother. And I had a fabulous relationship with my grandmother. And when she turned 100 years old, I was going to her birthday party and I needed a present. And she had macular degeneration and she was 100. She walked with a walker, more because she didn't want to bump into things. I mean, the brain was not in any way, shape, or form affected. Her eyesight was. And she was afraid of falling. And I was introduced to a technology that's all patterns that helped her not be afraid of falling. So we'll see what happens. I'm on the higher side of 50. So in the next 40 some odd years before I hit my 100th birthday, we'll see what my granddaughter comes up with that can help me with my living better. But yeah. I mean, it's just I could fill this whole podcast talking about my granddaughter, but we won't do that.
Right.
What else I do? I have a husky. I take her out every morning, and there's a beach about 5 minutes. There's a beach across the street, but there's one where she can run free and not go in anybody's backyard. That's about 5-10 minutes away. So we get in the car every morning and go run on the beach. And movement is medicine. So if I can help you move better, then I know that your life will be better because it's just the way it is.
Yeah. So let's go back to that. What did you get your grandmother? I'm so curious.
So the original technology actually was in socks. So the patterns, there's a gentleman named Jay Dollywall from Canada, and he created this pattern that when it's up against your skin, puts your brain into balance or homeostasis. And it started in socks and insoles. So I got grandma a pair of socks, and she was kind of funny because she told me she wasn't going to live very long, so I didn't need to get her more socks. She lived to a week before her 104th birthday. She ended up with more socks. She had a heart attack at about 102. So somebody else took over laundry. She was washing them out every night. But the difference in her balance that I could show her was incredible. And so we all started wearing socks for balance and strength and flexibility and pain management. And in the last year and a half, we've switched to patches. So they've taken the pattern and they've put it into a 2x2 square. The other thing that's happened is that he's devised all kinds of other patterns. So now there's a pattern that does that same balance, strength, flexibility, pain management. That's called Liberty. It's still my go-to for everything. Yes, I still have socks. I still wear socks because it's cold here this time of year. And I might as well wear socks that do something more than just keep my feet warm. But I also wear the patches. So there are 12 different patterns. There's one for stress and anxiety, called Peace. That's what this one is. I've not put this one on yet this morning. I generally wear this one, but I wanted to be able to show you one and show you where I put it. And the rest I'm going to do alphabetically, because as an old teacher, if I do them alphabetically, then I don't forget one. At least that's the hope.
Yeah,
so there's one called Defend, which is for immune function, that I wear every day. It takes your red blood cells, separates them out so the white ones can go in and clean up. Between the supplements that I take and I'm sure my Defend patch, I got some blood test results back lately that my healthcare practitioner said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it, because I've never seen, in that case, it was omega-3s. She says, I've never seen them this good. I'm like, thank you. Defend. Then there is Focus, for focus. Freedom, which is strictly for pain. Ignite, which is for raising your metabolic rate. Joy. I have an open Joy package. Joy's for joy.
Joy is for joy, but what does that mean, actually, joy?
So that one raises your emotional state. So we don't cure anything, we don't treat, we don't diagnose, but what we can help is symptoms. So just feeling better, it's that getting up on the wrong side of the bed and feeling better. Or sometimes in our lives, there seems to only be the wrong side of the bed. And you get sick of that. And you're like, okay, there's got to be something. And this just lifts that level up. Okay, I'm going to cheat. I have a magical box. And the beauty of having patches now instead of socks is that all of my patches fit into a little magical box. Whereas before, I had great big things full of patches. So Defend, Focus, whether it's for school, whether it's for focus in a game or a team. Freedom. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to ask about the freedom. Is it the freedom? Focus. Does it also help with the brain fog?
Yes. Brain fog, attention. I won't use those letters because that might get me in trouble. Freedom is the pain one, and they just released a double-blind study with the Freedom patch, and the results were incredible. I was doing right. Ignite was the next one. Joy was the next one. See, I'm not as bad as I thought. Kick It. Kick It interrupts your brain between thought and action. So if there is something that you want to stop doing, whether it is smoking, whether it is eating sugar, whether it is negative self-talk, and how are we all good at that? If that is your intention to stop that, and you're wearing the Kick It patch, it gives you that extra, right, I'm not going to do that. That extra pause to allow you to be able to kick the habit.
And what is Ignite?
Ignite raises your resting metabolic rate by up to 25%. So some people use it because their metabolic rate is wonky and they need their system to work better. A lot of people use it for weight loss, because sitting here having this conversation, we could be burning 25%, up to 25% more calories. Kind of not a bad thing. I'm still a proponent for movement, because to me, movement is medicine. But if I'm going to metabolize that much better while I'm moving, absolutely. I happen to have a really high metabolism. My children, on the other hand, were not so lucky. This is the Liberty one, which is the one we talked about for balance, strength, flexibility, pain management. It's like your iOS. It's the one that puts your brain into homeostasis or balance. And it was the original pattern. It does so much more than what I can tell you, because every body is different, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're closer to homeostasis, things all work better. This is a new one And I don't have an open one here. This one is called Lumi. And this one, here's Lumi, works with your skin and the oxygenation of your skin to give you a better glow. There have been all kinds of before and after pictures in terms of wrinkles and redness and eczema. And again, we're not curing anything. We're not diagnosing, but taking a look at those symptoms has been fun. Peace patch. You can think of it in terms of stress and anxiety, but also think of the fact that we are all under stress every single day. Mm-hmm. So I just took a package when I figured out that our timing was funky because of time changes. I had some time to take a package to a new customer who had been without them for a couple of days. She had actually stopped her meds because the peace patches were making such a difference, and she was frantic to get her hands on some more. And she says it's amazing, the difference, because she runs with high anxiety all of the time. My daughter is a brand new mother. Her world has changed completely. And so we've had some peace patches on her to just take that level down so that your brain is not on that wheel going round and round and round and round and round and trying to go worst case scenario, or trying to think of all of the different possibilities. Sometimes we just have to live. And it should be fun, not stressful.
It should be.
Right? So then the last three, something else that a lot of people struggle with is sleep. Yeah. So REM is one that may not make you sleep longer necessarily, but sleep better. I have found actually that I am more awake earlier, but I'm more awake. And I have a watch. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it thinks that I went to bed after I got up. It's a little wonky, but it does routinely tell me a difference in terms of my REM sleep when I'm wearing the patch. And my REM sleep is much higher, and I feel rested and ready to go. Sometimes your struggle with sleep isn't the sleep. It's the stress.
Right.
So sometimes people need to have a peace patch to fall asleep. And then the REM patch makes you have better sleep once you get there.
Right. So you are okay to have two patches at the same time.
You are. In fact, you could be a patchwork quilt and have all 12 on if you'd like.
Really?
The next one I'm going to tell you about, though, you have to make a decision as to whether or not you specifically want to try this one, because the next one is called Rocket. And the Rocket patch was designed specifically for men. And it's in a blue package. I'm not sure you can tell that that's blue. But it is specifically for men, talking about, more like never before. You can take that however you'd like. I can read the back. It says, optimizing performance and achieving a state of fulfillment are cornerstones of well-being. Rocket Patch is a drug-free, non-invasive solution that, when incorporated into a healthy routine, has the potential to heighten performance and enhance satisfaction in overall well-being. I had that testing done. My testosterone was very low. So I'm giving it a go. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I've noticed a whole lot of difference, but it's made for men.
Right.
Now, somebody said that their husband was wearing it and he was knocking things off the honey-do list. So if I can knock things off my own honey-do list by wearing the patch, maybe it's not a bad thing. The last one is Victory. And the Victory patch is really marketed to athletes for better performance athletically. There's more muscle recruitment with a Victory patch. I don't discount it for normal people, or people that aren't big time athletes, because we all have those days when the list of things to do is longer than the timeline that we have to get them done. And the stresses coming from all of the different areas. So I will use a victory patch when I know I have more to do than I might think I have time for. And also on those days when the baby may have kept me up a couple extra hours in the middle of the night. I did spend 2 weeks with them. So yeah, a victory patch just gets you over that hump. It gives you that extra jump. From an athlete standpoint, we say train with liberty, which is your balance and strength and flexibility and power. And then game day is the victory patch because it's got that those extra pieces. So those are the 12. They just did a North American launch, and there were 2 new studies, one which was the double blind for the Freedom Patch, which was pain, and a second one that was a double blind for the REM patch for sleep. And the people that wore patches with no, or the people that had no patches, the placebo, had no results, and the people with the patches did. So it's really cool to watch. And really, I use them as tools. I will wear the Defend patch every single day. The others, and the Liberty patch. The others come and go depending on what's happening. I did just listen.
I have some as well.
Yeah, I did just listen to a doctor talk about the Peace patch. And she was so funny, Dr. Anna Toker. She was so funny because in one of her videos, she talked about going to visit family during the holidays, and that you should take zinc with you. And this newfangled alien technology from the SuperPatch Company, which was the Defend patch. And I'm like, okay, I love my alien technology.
Yeah. Well, I got some of it as well. I got the Freedom. I like it very much. It definitely helps with pain. I've given the Peace to someone that has anxiety and stress, and the reports were phenomenal.
Awesome.
Liberty, that's the one that I started with. I definitely noticed some difference in my knees coming up and down the stairs. And yes, the REM one I had, that was my first one I opted to try, and my sleep quality was really transformed. So I definitely recommend this. But I want us to talk a little bit more, because people watching or view or listening to this podcast, we haven't introduced really the SuperPatch Company. We haven't really talked about the technology behind that.
Right.
Let's fill in some of the gaps.
Okay, so let's fill in some of the gaps. What did I do with the one that I put down? I put it down and now I don't know where it went. Anyway, I'll grab another one. So the square it's just a piece of 3M medical tape, essentially. And on it, I don't know if you can.
Yeah,
you can see there's some patterns.
Yeah.
And each pattern is different. Each pattern works with a different portion of the brain. No drugs, no supplements, just a piece of plastic with bumps. The reason we called this braille for your brain is that when you run your fingers across bumps that are in specific patterns, like in braille, you can understand it. The same thing works with your body. Your body understands patterns. And your skin is the biggest organ in your body. So for your skin to listen to the pattern and send the messages to your brain, you can put this patch anywhere. I have a friend that posted this morning. She has a migraine. She's got it here. She's not going out in public today. So her Freedom patch is here because that's where the pain is. I tend to wear my patches on my lower legs. My daughter specifically has really sensitive skin, and her skin seems to be tougher and less reactive at that point. If you react to a Band-Aid, you may react to the adhesive. So there are things that you can use to go in between you and the adhesive, like a spray-on Band-Aid. There's something called Skin Prep that works really well. But that's it. It's bumps on a piece of plastic.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Alien technology, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, sorry.
go ahead.
No, I was going to ask a question. I was curious to hear, you mentioned that it was, starting off as socks and then it turned into patches. But what got you started in all of these things, other than the present to your grandmother?
Well, the present to my grandmother started it. And I was curious. So when I first got the socks for grandma, it was an old friend from grade school, who was not old at the time, but who was in the company. And she said, there's a launch kit, and if you join the company, and at the time I was living on a boat, and balance is important when you're on a boat. And so I thought, all right, I'll join the company and see what happens. It wasn't a huge investment. And currently it's $50 plus, depending on if you want to get a different launch kit. And I thought, okay. And I started using them, and I had no seasickness, which was cool because there were times that we were out on the boat and it wasn't, I was living full time on a boat. And the more people I helped, I was a French teacher for 26 years. So I'm used to helping people. It's just part of me. I'm a helper. Mm-hmm. And to be able to change people's lives and see, grandmothers be able to get to sit down on the floor and play with their grandchildren and then be able to get back up. People being able to walk up and down the stairs, chronic. I had one woman who said, not only did it take her pain away, but she was able to stand at the kitchen sink and make a whole meal. So it's not just the benefits, it's the benefits of the benefits. Because you really, if you can take somebody's pain away, you're helping the rest of the family who has been dealing with that person with the pain. And if it's a child, you can take the child's pain away. Not only does the child now have less pain, they sleep better, mom sleeps better, brother sleeps better, right? It's just all of those things. And I just love the ripple effect that we have. We've just expanded. Last May, we expanded into all of Europe, and the UK was just before the pandemic. But so now we're in Canada, the US, the UK, and all of Europe, and continuing to, we'll see how it goes. And it's just been really fun.
Yeah. Fun. So of course we're saying we're not diagnosing anyone, and so also the language that we use around when we explain what the patches are is slightly more, on the careful side, right? Because we don't want to make any promises and stuff. But I am curious, because I know that when we spoke before, you did share with me some combinations that people might want to do, not to heal, but to help to maybe reduce symptoms and so on. Are there ones that you feel comfortable sharing?
I would say Liberty for sure every day, just because it puts you into homeostasis. Now, you can walk out the door and be knocked over by your dog. You're no longer in homeostasis, but your ability to bounce back is better. So definitely Liberty, definitely Defend. Not only has my blood work shown it, but I have another friend who was terrified last February. She was like, oh, they're going to put me on drugs. I know it. She had liver failure. She'd had all kinds of crazy things go on. And her doctor called her and said, I don't know what you're doing, but I've never seen blood work like this, ever. Right straight down the middle. And really the only thing that she had done was to, I mean, at the time we had the socks and we Defend was called something different. But that was really all she had done, was to have her liberty and defend, essentially. So those two for sure. REM, I don't wear my REM every night. I mean, you could be a patchwork quilt. You really could. You could put 6, 7, 8 patches on, depending on what it is that you need. Those are the two that I would say for sure daily. And the more I listen to Dr. Anna Toker talk about stress, I'm leaning towards the peace one as well. So I will be wearing 3.
Right. So if we talk about, things like, some things that people talk about a lot recently, things like dementia or Alzheimer or things like that. Again, we're not healing, we're not curing, but what are kind of combinations would we recommend for these kind of people?
So memory, brain fog, those kinds of things, I would add focus. So definitely you're gonna keep the liberty, you're gonna keep the defend, because the defend is also going to bring down inflammation. Bringing down the inflammation may then help with the brain fog, right? Mm-hmm. So I would just add focus into that mix.
Right.
And sometimes part of the frustration with not being with it, that peace patch may settle that out as well.
Right. And are there any other combinations that you would recommend for other people with other symptoms, or really we would prefer to?
You know what, we kind of play with it to depending on your symptoms, right? Depending on what it is that you want and how far you want to go. I mean, a package of 28 patches is $60 Canadian or US. Is it 60? I mean, I don't know what it is in the UK.
Yeah, I think something. Is it £60 or no? I forget how much it is.
Yeah, we'd have to look that one up. But so that's doable. It's about $2 a day. But when you start to add 5 and 6 patches, now you're looking at a bigger investment. Now, if that means that you don't have to be on statins, or you don't have to be popping the Tylenols and the Advils and all of those other things, that can be well worth it. If it means a better quality of life, so you give up the Starbucks and you put a patch on. I suppose too, it depends on what Starbucks you're drinking.
Yeah, I know that in the UK you get, it's £15 for 4 patches. So whatever it
okay, so that was, and the 4 packs, they are going to use just as marketing. I don't know that you'll be able to pick up a 4-pack just from the website anymore.
Right.
So that's a little bit challenging.
Yeah, I mean, I know that when the first one I got was the 4-pack, but yeah, but maybe like you said, they're changing it. Yeah. So tell me, what kind of questions do people usually ask you when you introduce them to these patches?
When I introduce them, I do a balance test. So I take a Liberty patch and I make them stand straight as a tree with their feet shoulder width apart, arms straight, and then I lift from their arm straight up. Generally, that disturbs their balance. For some people, I'm really careful because their balance is so precarious that it doesn't take much. For other people, I have to work harder. After I've disturbed their balance that way, I put their feet together and I stack their fists one on top of the other. I'm going to try and show you here. Like this, right at the breastbone. And then I press down. That disturbs your front and back balance, or your dynamic balance. Then I have them do one test where I don't touch them at all. I have them stand feet shoulder width apart and twist as far as they can in each direction and watch. Then I put the patch on. don't move your feet, because if you move your feet, then your point of reference moves. So I put the patch on a forearm where it's close. It's easy. They do the twist, and I get this look like, what?
Right.
And then I do the dynamic, and I can hang off of them. Same with the other balance. So then they're really curious as to what else can happen. Very often a question is, but what's really in it? What voodoo did you just do? I didn't do any voodoo. It's the pattern. And the skin recognizes your pattern, and it sends a message to your brain. It's really not any different than putting your hand close to a hot stove. Your skin recognizes that it's hot, tells your brain, move your hand fast.
Yeah.
So that's the big one. How do I get involved? How do I help more people? Talk to me. I will help you help more people. And that's an easy thing to do. It's an investment depending on what you want to do. And it really is cool to get messages back from people that say, wow, who'd have thought? Like, my daughter might kill me on this, but that's okay. She ended up with an infection, so she had to have antibiotics. And during delivery, she had like high doses of antibiotics, and then ended up with more antibiotics afterwards. What happens when we have antibiotics as women? Yeast tends to take over. And the one thing that I do know about that Defend patch is that it doesn't like yeast. And so she went from being very uncomfortable to comfortable within the space of probably a day with that Defend patch on. And so to see that and have her say, who'd have thought that a little piece of plastic could make this better?
Mm-hmm.
It's fun.
So I guess the next question is to ask, what's in your experience, like you've given us the example now with the Defend, but does it work instantly on people? Do they have to wait a day? Do they have to wait a week? How does it usually work?
I think it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, I can show you the difference in your balance instantly, 4 seconds. I can show you if you put one of those caps on and have a brain scan done, I can show you 4 seconds that there's a difference in your brain activity. Sometimes what you're looking for takes a little longer because it took a little longer to show up in the first place, or there's other things that the brain is working on first before it gets to what you want. And it may not be something that you are even aware of. So I've had some people say to me after 28 days, it did nothing. And their spouse says, oh, yeah? You're walking straighter. You're not as miserable. You're not a grumpy pants. All of those different things, right? So it's an ongoing conversation even throughout a 28 days. We are FDA-registered, so we're as safe as a Band-Aid. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee on a 28-pack of patches. So wear them for 28 days.
Right.
See what happens.
Right. And I guess we're saying put it on for 24 hours.
Right. The only one that you don't wear for 24 hours is the REM patch. Okay. You put that one on just before you go to bed or just as you're getting ready to go to bed, and then take it off in the morning. Now, have I forgotten and left it on 24 hours? Sure. In fact, at one point I was wearing them right at the base of my neck on the top of my back. And I put one on, forgot to take it off. And the next night I put the next one right on top of the first one. So when I pulled them off, I'm like, oh, there's 2 of them. I'm not sure how good the second one worked when it had to go through the first one. But yeah, They're all good for 24 hours. You may or may not get another hour or two out of them. It's a little like a car going down a hill that runs out of gas. It's still going to go down the hill, but not at the same breakneck speed necessarily.
And I guess one question that does come up already, I guess a lot, is about the environment. So, as you say, it's plastics. Is it good for the environment?
It is plastics. It's not recyclable. Where does it tell me here what it is? A polyethylene piece of plastic. So will we get to where I know that the pattern itself degrades a little bit with your skin. That's why it only works for 24 hours. But as far as what happens to the plastic itself, I'm not sure. That's a question that we need to continue to put to Jay. It does stay on. The other thing is that I guess when you say what other questions is, how do you get it to stick? If you are hot and sweaty, it's got to go on dry, clean skin. Mm-hmm. So don't put it somewhere where you're going to get hot and sweaty. Part of the reason that I like my lower legs. Don't put it on an area that moves a lot. So I wouldn't put it on my wrist here because it's going to come off because of the way the skin moves. Some people have to play around with what locations on their body as to where it sticks better and where it doesn't.
Yeah. Great. I guess this is a very good introduction to the SuperPatch Company and to everything that the patches are doing. I think it's a fascinating collection, and definitely from my experience, it definitely works, and it definitely brings relief in the areas I wanted when I started using them. So we're going to leave all of your details wherever people watch or listen to the chat, so that they can get in touch. They can get the patches for themselves, and so on.
From there, yeah. I know. What was the timing? What was the time lag between when you ordered it and when it showed up?
It showed up very quickly, maybe 2-3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very quick.
Good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, your country is a little smaller than mine.
Yes, a little bit. Yes, great. So, Beth, before we finish, any message or anything that you would like our listeners or viewers to know before we say goodbye?
Don't give up. Keep searching for a solution. This may be a solution. This may not be a solution, but don't give up searching, because there is something out there that will help you, and you aren't going to find it if you don't look.
No, I absolutely second that. Thank you. Thank you for
that's just my personal philosophy. That's not a SuperPatch philosophy. That's just me.
Well, we are talking with you, so
right. Well, and I transitioned from Socks on the Dock to Live Better with Beth, because I'm not selling socks. I don't live on a boat anymore. And part of the reason I connected with you is that you have tools that you can share with people. And it's by these connections and these conversations that we learn.
Absolutely. Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Beth, for being here with us today and for sharing and for letting us know a little bit more about these patches. I definitely speak to them to people about them all the time as well, and it's nice to have more, the whole story and the whole variety. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Have a great day.
Thank you.